So welcome everyone to the 2022 AGM. It's 12:01. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, I'll accept the mover and seconder to constitute the meeting. Chris, seconded by Bill. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes of the 2021 annual general meeting? Any errors or omissions? I'll accept a motion approving the minutes of the 2021 meeting. So Terry and Bill, and both of you were there. Perfect. Okay. Number 5, we have a formal resolution with respect to, and I'll read out the resolution just as technicality, to resolve that all acts, proceedings, contracts, bylaws, appointments, elections, payments enacted, made, done, and taken by directors and officers of the corporation since the last annual meeting on Wednesday, June 23rd, 2021 are hereby approved, ratified, and confirmed. Can I get a mover and seconder for that? Rob, seconded by Joe. And the board agenda. So it says, my apologies here, it's down below. So the board agenda, so call to order. We could probably just remove that. Number 6.2 is the bylaw 14. So there was a small error, or not error, but a requested change in bylaw 13, which was approved last year. Essentially, there was a reference to Mr. Mayor, who was on the original EDC board as an ex officio position. So that request to remove the mayor is really the only change in the bylaw for the last 12 months. Does anyone have any questions or concerns about that? Seeing none, I'll accept a motion to approve the bylaw 14. Bill, seconded by Joe, all in favor? That motion carries. 6.4 is brief chair report. So as all of you know, this is really the last meeting I will be chairing. I do appreciate everyone's commitment and input over my term as chair. We're really hoping that we could have an in-person meeting. As the last 2 years, I think I've only seen a few of you in person just because of the pandemic. But I think that we have accomplished quite a bit. When I was going over some of the minutes and some of the reports that we've had over the last couple of years, we should be proud on what we could accomplish, especially during a pandemic, especially with what we recently got off the ground too, with that exercise that we did in March of 2021. I believe we accomplished 6 out of the 7 top items that we had prioritized. 3 of them were dealing with downtown. And so with the recent funding program that has been established with the CDC partnership, that was something I was proud to see us get off the ground, and including supporting the downtown initiatives as well too. Industrial lands were another one as well too, that now we've got the ball rolling with that. So I think we have done quite a bit, as much as we could have done over the last 2 years. And I want to thank everyone for their input and their assistance and volunteerism along the way. Next, we're going to move into 6.5, a brief director's report. I'll turn it over to Rick.
First off, I want to take a moment to recognize you, Paul. It was outstanding working with you. This is my first board position, so it was a very good learning experience, and you're definitely a good mentor, so appreciate that very much. I'll echo Paul's comments. I think we've accomplished some great things. We've got some traction with our downtown initiatives now. We have the plaza underway, Mill Market relocation underway. We have a number of things that we're really starting to move forward. So it's a very encouraging time. I think that we'll be able to revitalize the downtown over the next couple of years to a point where it becomes an awesome place to be. So looking forward to that. As Paul mentioned, we did get the industrial land now going. So that'll be another selling point for us. And we've identified a few more key industries where we're moving forward on trying to stay up with the times. So the couple of industries we're going to be focusing pretty heavy on this year are going to be hydrogen generation And we are working closely with a couple of companies on that, as well as the biomass opportunities with all the lumber that we have on the ground in Northern Ontario. There's a huge opportunity to contribute to cleaning up the environment. So those will be two new industries that we'll be focusing on heavily. And we are in the process right now. You may or may not have heard that Kathleen has moved on to a new position with the Canadian municipalities. So it was a move up for her, and congratulations to her. But we are backfilling that position and should have an announcement shortly. And that's pretty much it at this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick, and thank you for the kind words. Moving forward to the election of officers and executives. So resolved that Mr. Joseph Bishalia will serve as chair, Mr. Robert Brewer will serve as vice chair, and Mr. Bill Freiberger will serve as the secretary treasurer. I get a mover and seconder. Terry, seconded by Chris, all in favor. And that motion carries as well. 6.4, approval of auditors. Resolved that BDO Canada LLP be appointed auditors for the 2022 fiscal year. Mover and seconder, please. Bill, seconded by Rob, all in favor. And that motion carries. And I will accept a motion to adjourn and terminate the meeting under paragraph 7. Mover, Terry, seconded by Stephen. So thanks again, everyone. I am going to turn the reins over to Joseph. So thanks again for everyone's help and guidance over the last 2 years.
Thank you very much, Paul. Yeah, I guess I should call to order the meeting.
You know what, sorry to just cut in already, Joe. I just wanted to say
you're back already.
Back already. I just want to say a special thank you to Terry. Terry's been involved with the board for quite some time, and especially with everything with the pandemic going on, I know it hasn't been easy for all of us or any of us really. So Terry, I want to say a special thank you to you all, your contributions and the time you've given over the last many years toward this. So thanks again.
Thank you, Paul, for the acknowledgement. I don't know what I'm going to do with my time now.
Sorry, Joe, I won't interrupt again, I promise.
That's all right. I'd like to call the meeting to order, if I may. Paul, on a personal level, I thank you for being my mentor over the past number of months, having been involved with the EDC. I think we've all learned a lot, but the biggest takeaway, apart from your competency, is your commitment to this board. And I share, I think, the feelings of all of the board members that you work hard to make us an independent, positive influence within our community. And I hope that I can succeed in that respect and work with you for the period of time that you will remain on the board and the other board members to establish benchmarks, if you will, in terms of what we want to achieve. And at the end of the term, see how far we've gone. And I will follow your footsteps in that respect. And one of the first things I will take away from what you did is to have us sit down and set priorities and set a list of things that we wish to achieve. And as Robert quite rightly mentioned the other meeting, we have to sort of focus in on what goals we want to achieve rather than repeating old things that have been on the agenda for some time, just to remember and see where we're going with. So thank you very much for your help and your assistance. Is there any declaration of interest, pecuniary interest, with respect to any matter on the agenda that's scheduled to be discussed? There is none. Thank you. May I have a mover and a seconder for the adoption of the agenda before us? Bill, mover. Robert, second. Any be it resolved then that the agenda for this meeting has been approved. Any additional items to be put on the agenda that anyone may have? There is none. May I have a mover and a seconder to adopt the minutes of the prior meeting? Moved by Paul, seconder. I have a seconder with respect to the resolution, please.
Joe, there's Chris and Steve have their hands up. I've got them on my screen.
I'm sorry.
You should have 10. You should be viewing 10 profiles.
I'm sorry, I'm not hearing you.
Can you see? I've seen Chris and Steven have their hand up. Can you see everyone?
I can only see Bill, Rick, Robert, and Sheila.
In the top right, there's a view button. You might be able to have more profiles seen at the same time.
No, I can't get it.
Do you have a view button on the top right, Joe?
I see Steve now and I see Chris and
Okay.
Terry. I don't see them all at the same time though. I'm sorry, who was the seconder? Well, thanks. Seconded by Chris, thank you. All in favor? Approved. New business and updates, Rick? Item 6.1.
Great, thank you. 6.1, Small Business and Entrepreneurship Center activities. I've included a list. This is it's becoming my favorite program, one of the ones that Mill puts forward. And it's really the program that Summer Company, which is essentially students who are starting out their own business for the summer. Millwork supports them with a business plan and supports them with some funding, micro grants, and things like that. Very interesting mix of businesses here. So I did include all of them for you that you could take a look at when you have a chance. There was one withdrawal this week, Karina Liguori. She's moving, so she won't be doing her business. But other than that, everything else there is standing. So we're quite pleased with that. And I think it's a great service for the community. It's great to see young kids getting involved with business and having that opportunity to put themselves in a position for the future. So happy to report that one. Starter Company Plus, we're finalizing for the next round. We've got a couple of approvals in already. We have also a few candidates who still have some work to do on their business plans, so we'll be getting that finalized. Our final submission for the next 3 years of funding is in final review right now. So we should have good news on that very shortly. And Millworks is now becoming a bit of a revenue generator for us. We have currently 27 paying clients, and they're generating approximately $3,500 a month. Any questions on 6.1? Okay, we'll move to 6.2, industrial lands. As I reported, it's been awarded to Century 21. I am working with Jamie Kaiko right now on finalizing the process, and we are trying to get all the industrial lands that the city owns declared surplus, so we don't have to go through a lengthy process to sell the lands in the future. Typically, the process right now can take 6 months by the time you get all the proper sign-offs. So we're looking to get them declared surplus by council so that the lands would be available for immediate sale. Any questions on 6.1? Yes.
Will we be getting a list of all of those properties that would be listed with Century 21 so that all the board members may be familiar with that?
Absolutely. What I can do, Joe, if you would like, is I can supply the two maps. Right now, the lands that we are selling are the Yates Avenue and the Lees Bay Road / Woodcourt Crescent. So those are the two plots, I guess you could say, that we will be marketing through Century 21. But I can get maps that will actually depict the physical locations and how it's set up.
Thank you.
Okay.
I just have one quick question on those. As part of it, any agreement of purchase and sale, is it going to be a requirement that development must occur within a certain time frame, or are these going to be running the risk of falling into holdcos that are hanging on to them with no development?
At this point, Paul, we are going to maintain our current operating procedure, which is upon purchase of land, you have 1 year to start construction of a building on it.
Thank you.
Any other questions on 6.2.1? Okay. 6.2.2, the ITB update. The AGM took place Sunday, June 12th. We are looking to wrap up the current program on December 31st. Now, because of COVID and a number of other factors, there is going to be funding left. And typically, NOHFC and FedNor don't like you to give the money back. So what we're doing right now is we have a meeting with the funders next week. And what we'd like to do is use the leftover funding, which should be in excess of $1 million, to launch a complementary type program, a little bit different structure as opposed to having an administrative person and a full-time salesperson. We're looking to put a finance person and a contractor. So just a pure and simple consultant to go out and support that program. So we'll see how that goes. We're just in initial conversations. This would obviously be driven through the 1DC group. And I've been working closely with Christy and Timmons on it. Any questions on the ITB program? Okay, thank you. 6.2.3, lead generation. We're obviously looking at continuing that program. We're still receiving leads and working them actively. We're also looking right now at potential biomass sources that could support Algoma Steel. Algoma has expressed interest in it. With the coming of the new electric arc furnace, there is a need for carbon to be injected into the steel. So the biochar is a source of that. And the process that creates the biochar can also produce syngas, which you can burn. So a lot of discussions going on there. I'll be going to the next core conference in Toronto in August, and essentially it is a conference that discusses the use of the biomass that's on the floor of our forests. We also have now contracted with the airport for signage. As far as a EDC, I have one dedicated spot. Tourism has taken the other spots, but we do have an arrangement that when there are open window boxes that we can put our advertising up there. So next time you're in the airport, take a look. It looks pretty slick. There's some real nice art and really positions our city, I would say, in a nice manner. So any questions on 6.2.3? Okay, move to 6.3, port update. We finalized the members of the team. We were to have a meeting on June 28th, but there is a conflict, so that's going to be rescheduled. But that project now is in a move forward position, so pretty excited about that, and we're looking forward to getting the team working. Any questions on the 6.3? Okay, thanks, Joe. Back to you.
Can I raise a matter with respect to going forward, Rick, as to the next meeting? We could have something along the lines of what we had a year or so ago in terms of setting priorities. Remember, we had sort of a list of things that people had put forward, and then we analyzed that. And also, I'd like to have, subject to the board's wishes, but I'd like to have a situation where we sit down and discuss procedure. I think it's time to perhaps review the process of being updated and having discussions on matters that have arisen as a result of the priorities that we set. I'm echoing somewhat Robert's observations at the last meeting that we could deal with more substantive issues at these particular monthly meetings, at the meeting of the board. Any observations in that regard, Robert, or others, board members?
I think from my end, I mean, I think a focus from us on what it is we want to accomplish and then some regular sort of progress tracking on that, I think would be great.
I sort of leave that to you, Rick, that we can discuss perhaps at the executive level is going forward to put that in motion, perhaps in, if not the next meeting, the following meeting, but early on in this board's term, if I can put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll make sure on the next agenda that we have the priority planning session put together. So we'll probably just echo the one we used previously, where we go through a process. I have all that documentation, so we can set that up. We can talk at the next executive and then have it ready for the next general meeting.
I guess that's it. There's anything else anyone wants to raise at this meeting right now before we go to setting dates and perhaps in closed session? Okay. What are we looking at in terms of calendar? Rick, help us out with respect to the executive board meeting and the dates for the board meeting.
Sam, if you could put those dates up, please.
I was under the impression that we are taking August off and then returning back in September.
Well, I think I'd like to have something in August and then have a board meeting in September, as you've indicated. I don't think we need to have a board meeting in August, do you? Board members feel that we need a meeting in August?
Not from my end.
Okay. So we'll set that executive meeting then for August and then the board meeting in September. What dates are you suggesting?
So typically speaking, I think we would have our board meeting on the 21st of September here with the executives the week before that. And then if you wanted to have an executive meeting, we'd probably be looking at maybe the 10th.
Anyone have a serious issue with that scheduling? Okay. We'll go with that then. Thank you. May I have a motion to go into closed session? There are matters that we have to discuss that are confidential and involve financial matters. And in accordance with the Municipal Act, Section 239, I would ask that for a mover and a seconder to go into closed session. Chris, moving. Seconder.